All right, welcome back to the Nerve Guys podcast where we discuss movement from the point of view of the brain. My name is James, and today we're asking the controversial question, is exercise bad for your mental health? Yeah, it's probably a pretty clickbaity title. Before we get into it, this is brought to you by the Neuroband, the wearable vision and balance training tool designed to improve posture, focus, and coordination. But more on that later. Let's get into the details here. So, mental health and exercise. It has been shown time and time again that mental health is beneficial for your exercise. It's been a long day. It's been shown time and time again that exercise is beneficial for your mental health, and that much I'm not going to debate. That is very true, that if we want our mind to be functioning better, movement is absolutely the answer. The problems come when we take the message to the wrong place or we take the message too far. So one of the things that I see all the time around exercise is we kind of push it as like exercise is just so great for everybody. Everybody needs to go out and exercise, and it doesn't really matter what you do. And you can read doesn't matter what you do in a lot of different ways. And I think quite a lot of people, especially neurodivergent individuals, but other people as well, can sort of latch onto that and go, okay, well, then I'm just going to choose, here's the thing that's most convenient to me, or here's the thing that's closest to me, when in actual fact, when the researchers are saying it doesn't really matter which type of exercise you choose, they're sort of hinting at, well, choose the one that, you resonate the most with, choose the one that feels good for you. But sometimes it kind of feels like, well, if it doesn't matter which one, I should be able to pick any one and jump onto that. And the problem is that doesn't always work. Every body is different, every mind is different, and while research might be showing that, you can kind of pick and choose from any exercise, for an individual person, there is definitely good exercises and there are bad types of exercise. There are good amounts of exercise and there are bad amounts of exercise. Often you hear exercise promoted as like the classic way is like, imagine if you got told there's a wonder drug that improves your mental health, improves your sleep, it improves circulation around your body, it reduces your risk of heart disease, it improves your balance, and it has zero side effects. Would you take it? And you're like, yeah, absolutely, I would take it. And it's like, well, gotcha, that's called exercise, and it's free, and you don't even do anything about it. And I always find that like quite a weird way to push it, because imagine if I told you the same thing about medication and it was equally vague. I say like, hey, you heard there's this cool new thing called medication and it increases your life substantially. It's going to be really great for things like your focus, your circulation. It can be good for your balance. It can be good for pretty much all sorts of different things in your brain and in your body. And, here's a door, it's free, knock yourself out. It doesn't work like that because we've tested and researched medication for different outcomes in different people. And with exercise, we kind of don't really do that. And yes, I will agree that the consequences of doing the wrong exercise when you're the wrong person most of the time is pretty insignificant compared to the consequences of the wrong medication in the wrong dose. But it also stands to be said that it actually does make a difference, and it can be really disheartening to people when you tell them that just any exercise works, and then they go try any exercise and they feel instantly worse after it. My kind of main mission with Rewire Neurodynamics is trying to help people get through the idea that what research says is good means it's generally good for the general population. What is good for you is often very, very different. And so while any exercise is the best approach to give to the whole population in total, the exercise that's good to you is something that you need to find out for yourself, and we need to test that out. And in my work, I have found that, with certain conditions, with certain problems, and with certain injuries, there are certain types of exercises that seem to have the best kind of bang for your buck when it comes to sorting out these problems. When it comes to focus, things like light cardiovascular exercise seems to work really well. Things like isometric training seems to work really well as well. And that might not be true for somebody who's dealing with chronic pain. For chronic pain, actually, like resistance training and that kind of thing can be really good, as well as things like yoga that help you focus on your breathing. And it's probably true that you could get the right dose of other types of exercise and see equal benefits, but actually I think it's a better idea to try and be a little bit more sensible when you're telling people that anything can be useful, anything can work, that the more important thing is finding the right exercise for you and not just saying that it's kind of anything or nothing. And because of that, I find on one side exercise can have a negative effect on people's mental health, specifically if they engage in it expecting to get better and they find that it's actually not helping them. And it's not that exercise itself is bad, it's just that exercise was bad for that person. So that's one side of things. On the other side of things, we also have the case that just like any time we're dealing with sort of mental health issues, our brain has sort of two options. There's one is kind of address the issue and the problem and kind of like resolve it and work it out. And the other one is find like an escape route or something that soothes the problem, something that kind of acts as a pacifier. And in the realm of psychology, I'm very much subscribed to the idea of positive psychology, that actually it's not necessarily always about fixing the negative symptoms in your life. What's better is focusing on the things in your life that you can make stronger. So if you focus on giving yourself better experiences, relationships, learning new skills, you find that actually your mental health gets better anyway, even if you didn't address the specific negative symptoms. And exercise can be a really great way to do that. So through exercise, you can get rewarding experiences, you can get rewarding interactions with other people. Exercise can release endorphins, which can give you positive emotions. You can also learn additional skills. But sometimes, and I've actually seen this happen to people in my personal life quite often, I even made a podcast around like, why is running like a midlife crisis thing? I've seen people who have suddenly just got into like this insane fitness regimen of just like constant workouts, constant exercise, and the exercise itself ends up becoming the damaging thing. So in the same way as, addictive substances can feel great right in the very beginning, and then actually once it becomes a kind of addictive problem, an addictive pattern, and an addictive behavior, then you start to find that actually what used to feel good doesn't feel so good anymore. Exercise, even though on paper it should just be a much more healthy thing. So, you're going to compare alcohol and exercise. Exercise wins hands down. But it is something that you can also develop an unhealthy relationship with if you find that rather than focusing on the positive things that exercise brings, you actually just focus on the fact that it's kind of soothing you in the moment and distracting from all of the kind of bad thoughts that are coming up. It's very possible to build exercise into some kind of a addictive behavior that actually has its own pitfalls later on, specifically in terms of like injury, but also things like just becoming obsessive over like metrics and data and things like that as well. So just like medication, if we're going to link exercise as the wonder drug, it also needs to be moderated in terms of what kind of exercise you're doing, what kind of dose you're taking it in, for it to be effective and healthy for people when it comes to their mental health. Now, what does this mean for you if you want to use exercise to improve your mental health? Well, have at it to a certain extent. This episode is not necessarily to try and discourage people from going out and exercising and using exercise as a positive force for good in the realm of their mental health. The main thing that I wanted to challenge in this is that people saying, look, just do anything, it doesn't matter what you do, just take the information that, it can matter, and if you try something out and it doesn't feel good for you, then don't give up on exercise. Try something else. Find the thing that feels right. Don't just blindly follow something because somebody said, hey, doesn't matter as long as you're exercising, this is going to make you feel the benefits eventually. In my world, everything needs to be tested. Everything needs to be tried out. And you have to be very, very skeptical if somebody says this is going to work for you and you're trying it and it's not working for you. At some point, you've got to start asking the question, was this person telling the truth? Or if they did have good intentions, is there a hole somewhere in this argument that we haven't quite found yet? And maybe I need to alter my opinions. So that's my thoughts on exercise and mental health. Thanks for listening. Let me know your opinions. I know this one's a bit of a controversial one. If you do want to try out some exercise and you want a little bit of an alternative style of movement, maybe you actually struggle to do like lots of big, heavy, intense workouts, well, maybe your visual and balance systems might be the thing to train. So, just a little segment to promote my product, the NeuroBand by Rewire Neurodynamics. This is a wearable vision and balance training tool. It's a nice little introduction into more brain-based movement practices, and it comes with 2 little workouts that you can do in the morning, do in the evening, that help train all of the different eye movements and all of the different integrated balance positions and movements that you can do together. It can be one way that you can get into exercise if you found that like heavy, intense, big lifting, big movement, that kind of thing doesn't agree with you, then maybe this is the next thing to try out. So there'll be a link to the NeuroBand in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.